Hi, I'm Conrad Cannell here at Cache Valley Counseling, talking today about family dynamics. Now, the reason why I became a marriage and family therapist in the first place was because of my family. Being in a role where that felt like I was helping my family in some way, being some might say a peacemaker, really just kind of put me into this place of really enjoying family dynamics. In my family growing up, it was a bit chaotic. We had four of us kids in 5 years, and there's a lot of fighting, a lot of emergency room visits, a lot of chaos to be certain. But I want to kind of speak today, at least lift the curtain back a little bit and discuss what a therapist view might be of different family dynamics. I want to give a little bit of background into what we look at as therapists at times and what we're looking for in a family dynamic, and obviously, and some other things that can be done to better understand that on your own front as maybe a non-therapist perspective. So, a family can consist of a lot of different things. You might go back into, let's say, 70 or so years ago, the traditional family structure of a husband and a wife, with the husband being the primary breadwinner, the wife being the stay at home mother and children. Our families today look a lot different than just that. There certainly can be that, but there are very uh, more diverse, more unique. That's a great thing. So, understanding how your family is, whether that is uh, biological or blood relation, or whether it's not, whether it's family by who you choose to spend time with and align with, and what that could look like. Many families have typical caregivers. Oftentimes that could be parents, but not always. Sometimes that's a single parent. Sometimes that's both parents. Sometimes it's not. Maybe it's a foster system or adoptive families or a lot of different variety of things. But in looking at a family system, in my systems view of that, there are multiple people within this system. I'm looking at hierarchy. That could be if there's, let's say, two-parent household. What that hierarchy could look like is if those both parents are on the same place in terms of power. If maybe a child has more power than a parent or over other siblings, looking at different subsystems. We have a parental subsystem. It could be sibling subsystems, parent-child subsystem. Really, just kind of breaking down this hierarchy of a family and seeing kind of how the dynamic is. So something I'm looking for is what this family is showing me and how they interact. Now, within those systems, within that hierarchy and power, looking at the family roles. What does each family member, what does each of their role play within that family system? If it's a parent role, if it's a provider role, disciplinarian role, if it's a rule follower role of a child or a rule breaker role, if it's a comedian role, if it's, a variety of roles we can all play. A peacemaker role could be a avoidant role. Really, just kind of seeing what role does each person play? How do they interact with each other? What do they look like? How are they engaging with one another? And within those roles and within that hierarchy, we often see what are the rules, both implicit family rules as well as the very explicitly stated family rules. So roles and rules. The rules being what is meant to be followed, what is meant to be understood or expected, I should say, to be followed and abided by. And in terms with that, what happens if those rules don't get followed? Variety of different responses. Could be a very passive response. Really, there could be no rules or very strict rules, very passive response to when rules get broken, or very rigid response when they get broken. How do families respond to that? And the differences between parents, because many parents are different in that respect. also looking at boundaries. How do people within that family system enact boundaries, right? Being maybe implicitly stated of don't do certain things, not the rules, but the boundaries of what is appropriate or not, but also the very stated boundaries of what's okay or not, traditions within family, right? Culture, uh, expectations, community, outside of just the family, but within that system, what is expected as you live it. In addition to that, communication, how we communicate with one another. What are we looking for in our communication with one another? So all these things, I'm giving you kind of a little bit of brief snapshot into a model of therapy called structural family therapy. It's older in its terms of what family therapy started out with, and as we try to understand it better, just kind of seeing a healthy structure in a family is what I'm looking for. But as I said earlier, that could be such a different outlook today than it can or has been in previous years. So I'm not looking for it has to be a certain way. My flexibility as a therapist allows for that structure to look a variety of ways, but trying to see the core healthy structures within it. With that being, is there an appropriate power dynamic? Children, especially younger children, should not have power over parents, meaning they shouldn't be the ones deciding the healthy rules and boundaries. As children, we actually not just crave, but actually need healthy structure. We don't fully have brains developed to know what it is we need and want. So to have some sort of structure to protect and keep safe. Uh, a farm analogy might be helpful. Certain animals need to be enclosed to be able to be safe, to know where is that safe area to go to. Like a child may not know what is okay to touch or not to touch, like a hot stove. They need to know certain boundaries structure within that. So, parental subsystem being in charge uh, by being able to enact the appropriate structure, healthy communication, model those behaviors, follow those rules, show what happens, have appropriate consequences. Anyways, I'm trying to share all this just to give you an idea of what family therapy can look like, and to give you an idea of what can be hard in family therapy. Uh, People can be resistant, so being able to share some non-confidential breaking stories. There can be children who just won't talk. I'll just sit there. All right, it can be challenging if you have teenage kids at home to know, hey, like, what do I do? How do I connect? What is it that I can share to figure some things out? And you can just get the stone walled response, and that can be really challenging. So as a therapist, right, in my room, trying to assess for this structure, trying to get a good idea of what it looks like so that I can know what best needs to happen for it to heal. Now, within that family dynamic, you may be asking yourself, how does this apply to you personally? I might invite you to do an exercise, and that is to kind of assess for your own family structure. What does it look like? Are you a single parent? Are you a two-parent household? If so, how are you working with your partner? Do you feel like you're doing so in a way that works together? Or do you feel like you're working in a way that's contrary to one another? Kind of assess this. Check in with yourself to know what are you doing to either A, further uh, collaborate and be united and consistent with your partner, with your other parent involved, or are you not? Are you further increasing chaos? Are you furthering the sense of our kids don't know what to expect? Kids need consistency. They need a parent who's going to act as consistently as possible. That includes together, not just with them, but also with let's say two-parent household with the other parent. So in this assessment, I'd check in like, hey, how is our togetherness as parents? How is our communication with one another? If we disagree on something, what do we do with that? What's our dynamic like? Are we more stressed? Are we a household that's more focused on rules? Are we a household that's more focused on fun? Where is that level of flexibility, rigidity, balance within it? If you see yourself not liking where you're at, be aware of it. embrace it, kind of lean into it, be curious about why that is. Oftentimes we parent similarly within reason to how we were parented. We may not like that. We may not like that we're taking part of our parents' way of doing things and doing it. But that's just maybe what we only know. And so maybe challenging that if need be, being aware of what you want to do, how to embrace change, and create a different family dynamic if need be. And obviously knowing when to bring in professional help, which could be, if safety is ever a question of concern, I would involve some professional help as a family. Family therapy can be really valuable to work through really hard conversations. Maybe there's divorce. Maybe there's a loss of a loved one, a death of some sort. Maybe exploring and understanding differences in religion or sexual or gender identity, right? All those things I think would be valuable to kind of work with a professional. So doing this assessment within yourself, recognizing your rules as a family, the boundaries you have, the communication by which to express them and make them known, understanding your own power and dynamic. Hopefully this more informative, but more exploratory on your part to know, what is my family dynamic like? And what do I want it to be different? Or how would I like it to continue to be a certain way? Families are essential. They are pivotal, I think, for a society's well-being. We need to have healthy systems. It starts in the home. Families that can heal together uh, can make a huge difference in the world. So, encourage you to just kind of explore that and be aware of it, and be more in tune with what your family dynamic is like, and open that communication. Be more open with family and understanding more of what it means. I appreciate hearing some of my thoughts today in family dynamics, and encourage you to go on that self exploration and what it is that you can do to change and improve your family dynamics. Appreciate you listening today.